Kidney disease is a growing public health concern, often referred to as a silent killer due to its gradual progression and late detection, affecting millions globally, as chronic kidney disease can lead to kidney failure, which requires dialysis or, in advanced cases, a transplant to sustain life. In Borno State and the wider Northeast region, access to specialized renal care has long been a challenge until now. In today's edition of Panorama, we shall shine the spotlight on a remarkable medical breakthrough right here in Maiduguri. The University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, UMTH, has recorded a major milestone with the successful conduct of a kidney transplant, marking a significant leap forward in specialist healthcare delivery in the Northeast. This medical feat not only reflects the growing capacity of UMTH as a tertiary health institution, but also rekindles hope for patients battling kidney failure in the region who previously had to travel long distances in search of such advanced treatment. Stay with us as we take you through the journey of this groundbreaking operation and what it means for the future of healthcare in Borno State and Nigeria at large. Welcome to Panorama on NTA. I am Abubakar Musa, and it's a pleasure to have you join us. African leaders are declaring new intent to grow intra-regional trade through improved investment in critical sectors to drive the economic growth for greater prosperity of the region. At the inaugural West African Economic Summit in Abuja, President Bola Tinubu says the region cannot afford to miss out of the evolving global industrial revolution. State House correspondent Musbau Danwahab will now tell us more.
In their golden jubilee year, West African countries are taking another giant step. Decisive as it comes, it is a quest to take control of their destiny, drive regional integration higher for a more formidable economic ecosystem. In the last 50 years of a regional bloc, the trade volume has remained only as far as the member states have pushed. Despite its huge resources, opportunities and high youthful population, ECOWAS chairman Bola Tinubu regrets that the region is still one of the last great frontiers of economic growth, with intra-regional trade hovering around 10%.
Europe left Africa behind in the previous industrial revolutions. We cannot afford to miss the next one. Our rare minerals, powers tomorrow green technologies, yes, it is not enough. To be resource rich, we must become value chain smart and invest in local processing and regional manufacturing.
Now, the opportunity is representing itself to reset. President Tinubu says the task for the regional leaders now is to find new and effective ways to invest in a collective future, improve the business climate, and create opportunities for youth and women with a renewed commitment.
We must move from declarations to concrete deals, from policy frameworks to practical implementation. Let us build a West African that is investable, competitive, and resilient, with vision, responsibility, and unity. This is the new West African proposition. Let us make it real and bankable.
For other leaders, The region must be intentional to actualize the African Continental Free Trade Area Initiative, the regional single currency, and ease of movement of people and goods across the region.
Trade integration must start with a strong political commitment from all member states. We should engage in key regional initiatives such as the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme in order to reduce tariffs and barriers, and the common external tariff to harmonize trade policies.
Let us seize the opportunity to deepen our collaboration, mobilize our collective resources, and transform the potential of our region into lasting progress for our people.
If we are not able to tackle all those issues, we will never be able to tackle poverty in our region, and our region will still remain a poorer region.
In a seeming microcosm of what is expected of the region, Nigeria and Benin Republic took a step toward a more strategic relations with the establishment of a joint trade and investment cooperation. In Abuja, Musbah Dan Wahab, NTA News.
Let's talk security now. Vice President Kashim Shettima condemns the suicide bombing attack that claims lives at a local food joint in Konduga local government area of Borno State on Friday night, describing the incident as a heinous act of terrorism against innocent civilians. In a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Communications, Office of the Vice President, Stanley Nwocha, he urged relevant agencies to expedite investigations into the incident and ensure that victims and families of the deceased receive urgent support. Expressing the federal government's commitment to bringing the perpetrators to justice, Vice President Shettima extends heartfelt condolences to the families of the victims and the people of Borno State. And still on issues that have to do with security, the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Olufemi Oluyede, has deployed critical combat enablers, force multipliers, and additional 300 troops to boost manpower under Operation Will Stroke. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the effort is to reinforce security and operational capacity in the north-central region in view of the recent attacks in Benue State.
Deployment, including mobility and protective access, is focused at enhancing troops' mobility, rapid response, and effectiveness in addressing emerging threats in the state. During the recent 7 days operational visit, Lieutenant General Oluyede presented consignment of equipment at the headquarters of the Joint Task Force in Makurdi. These combat enablers are designed to improve tactical agility, force protection, and combat readiness, particularly in difficult terrains where asymmetric threats are prevalent. While in Makurdi, the COAS reassured the people of Benue State and the North Central region that the Nigerian Army is committed to restoring peace and stability, emphasizing that under his leadership, efforts to safeguard lives and property will be intensified. The Army Chief also paid a courtesy visit to the state government, where he extended heartfelt condolences over the recent attacks resulting in the loss of life and destruction of property, and directed the immediate review of existing operational frameworks and the reinforcement of troops in volatile areas. The decision, he said, reflects the Army's responsive approach to evolving security challenges and its resolve to dismantle armed groups terrorizing local communities. The Force Commander, Joint Task Force Operation Wild Stroke, Major General Moses Gara, appreciated the COAS for the timely support, noting that the newly inducted assets will be swiftly integrated into ongoing operations to expand operational reach and strengthen troops' morale. The latest intervention is part of the Nigerian Army's commitment to ensuring national security. In Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
Still talking security, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, has met with the traditional rulers of Benue State as part of continuous efforts to restore peace and security in the state. The high-level meeting held in Benue follows a directive by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to urgently constitute a strategic peace committee aimed at addressing the root causes of violence in Benue and charting a path towards lasting reconciliation and stability, Judge Akumi described the incidents as heartbreaking and reiterated the president's resolve to end the senseless killings in Benue and other parts of the country. The proposed peace committee, led by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, has commenced consultations immediately with a mandate to recommend actionable solutions to end the attacks in Benue State. This is Panorama on the Nigerian Television Authority. Let us at this point take a break to bring you more stories shortly. View back. Now, in what can best be described as a record-breaking achievement, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, UMTH, has successfully carried out its second kidney transplantation after 15 years since establishment of the revered health institution. Here is Umar Jimbarima with the rest of the story.
This was Abdullahi Yusuf expressing heartfelt appreciation to the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital and other contributors over the successful kidney transplantation carried out on him. The entire transplant process was carried out within the hospital with all necessary medical equipment for kidney transplant available, thereby making the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital the only facility in northern Nigeria fully equipped to perform kidney-related operations. The mind-blowing achievement is also expected to significantly reduce the financial burden on kidney patients who usually travel long distances or outside the country for medical treatment.
By God's grace or the commitment of our Chief Medical Director, the transplant program has come to stay. We are hoping that Maiduguri will be a hub for transplant for the Northeast and even Nigeria in general.
The second successful kidney transplantation at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital is likely going to pave way for other transplants to be conducted, especially if the necessary wherewithal needed is sustained. In Maiduguri, Umar Jimbarima, NTA News.
We are privileged to have in the studio two health experts, the Deputy Director, Center for Urology and Renal Research Center, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hassan Dogu. Dr. Hassan, it's good to have you on Panorama at this point in time.
It's my pleasure.
Let me equally introduce Professor Zainab Mustafa. She is the head of Department of Radiology, State Specialist Hospital, Maiduguri. Professor Zainab, it's equally good to have you in our studio on Panorama this afternoon.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Let me start with you, Dr. Hassan. And before I ask you this question, let me congratulate the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital for this record-breaking achievement. Now, what does this successful kidney transplant mean for healthcare in Borno and the Northeast region?
Thank you. I will start with the background. The Kidney Center, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, was established in 1989. That was 36 years ago. And even then, the government identified that there was a problem of kidney diseases in this sub-region. Right now, the prevalence of chronic kidney disease in the Northeast is about 21%. And if you look at emergency admissions into our emergencies, the patients with chronic kidney disease constitute about 50%. And this has always been a concern for the people and the government as well. If you remember very well, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Borno State, Professor Babagana Umar Azurum, gave out a take-off grant of 50 million to investigate the causes of chronic kidney disease. And this service, renal transplant, is a service that is much needed by the community. Now the teaching hospital has brought it to our doorstep. Transplant outside or even within Nigeria is capital intensive. So this has come to the doorstep of the people of Maiduguri, Borno State, and the Northeast in general.
Yes. That's interesting. Professor Zainab, tell us your insight into this first question.
Well, of course, as you know, last year the flood was quite devastating. I think I still have images in my mind of our Chief Medical Director, assessing the damages of those first 1 or 2 days. But, alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, we were able to overcome that, and to the point where we actualized this dream that had been sitting there, for a long time. The director of the Kidney Center has already, said most of what really it transpires. But for me, I, came into the whole picture as, someone who would work with the organization, with the department and the hospital to try and, raise funds. Because the financial burden is enormous. It is something that, most patients who happen to be afflicted by this end-stage disease cannot afford. A minimum privileged number can go abroad. So the majority of patients are those who will benefit from this service. And I believe that, this is the beginning, and we have to work to support government. We have to work to support the hospital and raise funds. These patients would otherwise never stand a chance for getting a renal transplant, even though it is right here. The cost of the medications, the cost of the laboratory tests that have to be done, the cost of the, preparing both the donor and the recipient is huge. And it doesn't stop there. The post-operative care and the cost of the drugs and management is another huge sum that cannot be allowed. If we say we're going to let every patient have a kidney transplant and go fend for themselves, it will fail. It will fail. We have to support them before.
Because it requires a huge amount of money, obviously.
Yes, we have to support them before. We have to support them during, through the surgery, and after as well. And this is something that, is magnanimous, and a huge amount of support needs to come in for that to work.
Okay, I'll definitely come back to you for more responses, Professor Zainab. Now, coming back to you, Dr. Hassan, how did the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital prepare, for this complex surgery, especially after last year's devastating flood on your equipment?
Thank you. The preparation was a long-term preparation, and the flood actually pushed us back. This transplant would have been carried out much earlier than this time, but the flood came in unexpected, and the whole hospital was submerged, and that pushed us back. But thank God, our Chief Medical Director is hardworking and dedicated. He stood up with the support of the federal government and the state government. The hospital was able to bounce back. And what we have now, we have the largest kidney center in the country. It is 85-bedded. It has 4 operating theaters, which are equipped with the state-of-the-art equipment. 2 are for kidney transplants. The other 2 are for endoscopic urologic services, because urology and nephrology, they go together, hand in hand. And we have the state-of-the-art HLA laboratory, which is the lab that is used to screen the donor and the recipient. And this lab, with the assistance of TEDPON, we were able to put this lab and then even have support from Italy for quality assurance.
All right, Professor Zainab, can you add to what Dr. Hassan just said?
Very little, I'm afraid, because, he's the surgeon. I am, someone who helps with, passing on information and raising the funds. So I think I couldn't say more than he has said. But certainly as a medical practitioner, I do know what is is involved. As a radiologist, I was involved in, a couple of the testings that were done for the patients. Both the donors and the recipients had to have, radiological imaging, and additional to the laboratory services tests that they had. So certainly I know that, it took a lot to get to where we are. But the best thing was that we had 2 successful surgeries, and I believe this is just the beginning of many, many, many to come. And I know that it is not just a personal dream, but the dream of everybody who is involved in this care, that it will be a norm to have kidney transplants in the state, not just, with long intervals. Because the patients are there. The patients are certainly there. It's just that, the financial implication is enormous. Yeah, and that is what makes it almost impossible for some. And I think with the support of Borno State government, with the support of well-meaning Nigerians, nobody should be able to not have access to this service, especially if it has come to your doorstep. So.
All right. Now, still staying with you, Professor Zainab, with many people, facing kidney problems in Nigeria, how will the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital keep, this program and then grow it?
Okay, so the one way that this program can continue is that it needs support because of the huge financial implication. I believe it takes about 13.5 million for one patient to be prepared from start to finish and discharge. That is a sum that most patients cannot afford on their own. So, a charitable organization like a kidney transplant, foundation is what we need to set up, and already I think that is in the works. And we, the information will come out there from the hospital so that many Nigerians, and I know there's a large sum of people who, once they know and they are sure that their money is going to be used judiciously, would contribute and support these patients.
Okay.
Who need it badly.
It appears we're actually running out of time. Now, in just one word, Professor Zainab, what should people do to avoid kidney failure? Because as far as I'm concerned, I think that is the most important thing.
Yes, so education. We need to educate people about the causes. It leads hypertension, poorly controlled, leads to end-stage kidney disease. Diabetes, poorly controlled, leads to end-stage kidney disease. Drug abuse. But there are so many other causes. So I think knowledge is power, and with that, people can be well informed to look after
Just briefly, Dr. Hassan, what do you have to say?
Yes, this service is much needed, and it's now at our doorstep. And the hospital has promised to do 20 kidney transplants free. So we encourage people to come forward, and this free service could only be done with community participation as well. So we encourage people from the community to be part and parcel of this program. This is what will sustain it. And I would like to extend our appreciation to our lead surgeon, Professor Sani Al-Hassan, who has dedicated his time. His Excellency, the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who has been supporting kidney disease patients by giving free drugs. Because before you transplant patient, you have to ensure that he can continue with his drugs. And these drugs are being given free by Kashim Foundation. Thank you.
I wish we could continue. I'm sorry, we just have to leave the discussion here for now due to time factor. Let us appreciate Deputy Director, Center for Urology and Renal Research Center, University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, Dr. Hassan Dogo, and Head of Department of Radiology, State Specialist Hospital, Maiduguri, Professor Zainab Mustafa, for being part of Panorama today. And I must confess, they are actually the brains behind the second successful kidney transplantation, at the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, coming after 15 years since establishment of the institution. Now, Nigerian athletes intensify training in Abuja ahead of the Confederation of Africa Athletics Championship in Abuja, Ogun State. For details of this, let's now join Suleiman Musa.
After months of being under restricted access, which was forced by a leadership and ownership tussle, there is optimism that the IBB International Golf and Country Club Abuja will soon be reopened for golfing activities following the visit of the Minister of FCT, Nyesom Wike, to the club as part of his intervention efforts. Wike, while addressing stakeholders, seized the opportunity to reiterate the fact that the club remains government property, which makes any tussle for its ownership and exercised in futility.
My interest is this is the property of government. I hand it over for you to manage. And when I came here, I was quite impressed. The chairperson of the due to be assured that we're going to give all the necessary support.
An intervention, an intensive intervention.
That is how it has been on Panorama today from NTA Maiduguri Zonal Network Center. Now, on behalf of myself, Abubakar Musa, and the whole team, I see you next time.